Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And in today's video, we have a jammed packed show. It is a jam-packed couple of weeks for Texas Tech football, as it is probably two of the biggest weekends in terms of recruiting in Texas Tech football history. Now, don't take my word for it. I got a quote from Joey McGuire that's being reported on that front. But before we do that, some house cleaning stuff, I should say. First and foremost, in the Micah Hudson video that I released last week, I was wrong on the official date. I can admit when I was wrong on that. So shout out to Ben Golan over at Red Raider Sports, a former colleague of mine, for correcting me on that. He was not on campus, was Micah Hudson, last weekend. He will be on campus this weekend, okay? So the date will be Friday, June 16th on that. Also, I've had multiple people in my DMs freaking out about Micah Hudson because he went on Twitter yesterday, changed his banner up on his profile to him and Sark. He changed it to him in a Texas jersey. He put the Longhorns up in his profile bio. He put a Longhorn next to his name. Listen, got to calm down a little bit on that front. It's social media. Yes, he changed everything in there, bio and whatnot. I would just wait and see. And I think, Micah Hudson's one of those guys where I think he's trying to get a feeler for how fan bases react and everything like that. Rightly or wrongly, you don't have to agree with how he's doing it. And again, this is just my opinion, right? But I do think that there is something there when it comes down to it. Just let the process play out. He will be on campus here soon enough. And listen, when Texas Tech gets guys on campus, we know that there is a big time hit rate in terms of getting a commitment from those guys. But hey, right now, just relax on the Micah Hudson front. Relax a little bit. All right, let's jump into this, as Joey McGuire himself is being reported as saying this. If you want to look at the bottom line, these 2 weekends, including last weekend and this coming up weekend, will be the largest group of talent from a recruiting standpoint in Texas Tech's history. Okay. And I agree with him, but we need to talk about something in terms of him landing a commitment from one of those in the first 2 weekends, and that is 4-star offensive tackle Ellis Davis out of Prosper High School. And when you look at kind of what they've done in terms of landing high-end talent against teams that are not only in the Big 12, but also some pretty damn good other teams in terms of Davis had a full list of SEC schools after him. Stanford was after him. He's a great academic, right? TCU was after him as well, and damn near every other school in the state of Texas. But instead, he commits to Texas Tech after a visit to the 806. And this is kind of the breakdown of Davis in his skill set. He's a prototypical tackle, and he's going to probably plug in at the right tackle spot. Terrific athleticism. And after watching the limited amount of tape that I could find on him, I'll say this: the dude plays physical. He is mean. Coach Hamby is absolutely going to love him. And when you look at what the Tech staff thinks of him, there's been multiple reports saying that this Tech staff thinks that Ellis Davis, even before he committed, was the best right tackle in the class of 2024, not only in the state of Texas, but in the country. And you land a guy like that who can be an instant impact guy, again, 6'7", 275 right now. Don't be surprised if they get that weight up once he's on campus to 315-ish. He is going to be an NFL-type guy out there on the right side for Texas Tech, and a guy that could potentially be a day one starter for the Red Raiders. Also, when you look at this, I mean, I've looked at other things in terms of, hey, how are everybody else reviewing it? And On3 went out to say a lot of similar things that I said in terms of the prototypical tackle. They also went on to say that this Tech staff thinks that he is the best right tackle in the class of 2024. So a big-time pickup for Coach Hamby and crew when it comes to that offensive line room, and I don't think they're going to be done there. Again, you've got Hendricks, the Lubbock native, who I think will end up being another 4-star. Texas Tech hasn't had 2 4-star offensive linemen in the same class since 2015, 8 years ago, going to be nearly 9, almost a decade in terms of the next recruiting class for them on that front. Big-time stuff for Texas Tech. And again, I think when it comes down to it, right, Texas Tech building in the trenches is something that is astronomically important for this program, because when you have the trenches built, you'll find the skill position players. Trust me, quarterbacks are going to want to play at Texas Tech, especially if Kitley's there, right? Wide receivers are going to want to play at Texas Tech if Kitley's there, right? Like, that's just how it goes. Offensive linemen and defensive linemen, if you can build in the trenches, you have a much better chance at winning, especially when you can just rotate guys on the defensive line and you've got stalwarts on the offensive line. Get back to those mean days with Hamby in there, Ramirez, and just those guys that just are physical at the point of attack. That's what Texas Tech is prioritizing, that and speed, and that is a deadly combination when you think about what Texas Tech could potentially do down the road. And you think about some of the other guys that were on campus last weekend. You've got Casey Poe, who is one of the best interior offensive linemen in the class of 2024. You've got Ivan Carverone, who right now is a Texas Tech commit. OU is going after him hard, but hey, he's still in that scarlet and black in terms of the commitment. You've got Will Hammond. And listen, this staff, and this is a perfect transition into the Joey McGuire effect for Texas Tech, okay? If you would have told me in October 2021 that I'd be sitting here in June of 2023 that Texas Tech has the potential to have a top 20 class in year 2 of Joey McGuire, already after having a top 30 class, I believe they finished at 27, 25, depending on where you look. It's the Joey McGuire effect. And I want to give credit to this staff too, because James Blanchard, Coach Nance, like, they have done a phenomenal job at recruiting and building relationships. And that's something that cannot go understated. This is a relationship business, right? Texas Tech is in on Micah Hudson because of relationships, and not just relationships, genuine relationships. Okay. And you look at what they do in terms of recruiting at a high level on the recruiting trail, right? The fan base being 100% bought in. This is because of Joey McGuire and the staff that he has, right? And on the recruiting trail, they are damn near pioneers in terms of finding kids before they pop, right? Perfect example is Will Hammond, okay? You look at what he did, right? He was a no-star recruit, 0-star recruit, right? He is now a 4-star recruit, depending on where you look, and he's a Elite 11 finalist, right? They have done a phenomenal job at evaluating talent in terms of maybe finding those diamonds in the rough and getting them to commit to the Scarlet and Black and being integral parts of their recruiting classes. They've done a phenomenal job at that. And, it's just crazy to see how it's almost just turned on a dime in terms of Texas Tech and their prowess on the recruiting trail. And that's the Joey McGuire effect, not only on the field, off the field, with facilities and recruiting. It's a lethal combination that the Red Raiders have right now, and it's paying huge dividends as they land a 4-star offensive tackle from Prosper High School in Prosper, Texas, and Ellis Davis, a guy that I truly think can be a day one starter for the Red Raiders. But again, also these 2 weekends for Texas Tech are huge. Feels like an understatement. I'll leave y'all on this, though. Big news out of Texas Tech football before this commitment this weekend was that Joey McGuire did indeed name Tyler Shuck as QB1. Not a shocker on that front. I expected that to happen. He's 8-1 as a starter for the Red Raiders, is Tyler Shuck. And truthfully, it just comes down to health for Tyler Shuck. If Tyler Shuck is healthy, he is a top 4 quarterback at worst, in my opinion, in the Big 12. And I think he increases the Texas Tech ceiling by maybe even a whole win, right? And again, 1 win for 1 player, you take that, right? And he is going to be absolutely huge for the Red Raiders this season. And if he stays healthy, he is going to have a big-time season. I predict it in the bold predictions video I have, and it's linked here in this video as well. I think Tyler Shuck goes 35-plus touchdowns. I think he has a monster year for the Scarlet and Black. But recruiting is the big news right now for Texas Tech as they land a 4-star offensive tackle in Ellis Davis. And these are 2 of the biggest weekends recruiting-wise in Texas Tech football history. I am RC Maxfield reminding you, if you want more Texas Tech football videos, simply like this video and hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on Texas Tech football all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.